Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are we all, people? Welcome to another Unite Live here on Unite Hair TV with my good self and everyone else supporting me, especially my able-bodied assistant as always. The magical Mike behind the camera is going to keep it all focused for us. There he goes, there's the big thumb. It's just plastic. He has a plastic thumb just because the other one doesn't look as great, so it's like all for the sake of the camera. His own private Instagram page, Mike's Thumb. So today we are all about hybrids. So what are hybrids in our family? Basically, this one with the what I call the electric blue lettering on our products is our hybrid family. Hybrid being application on wet or dry hair. So I wanted to clear up a few little things about our hybrid applications, what to use it on, how to use it, etc. Do some little demos for you, and I'm going to introduce something else as well along the line, just to keep it interested here on a Monday morning, the beginning of Thanksgiving week here in the US. Maybe not so much in Europe, but it's a big thing. So as they like to say here in the US, happy holidays to you all, because everything's slowed down. Mike, have you noticed that this morning? The traffic?
Big time.
The traffic was a bit more manageable. Well, it was really quick actually. I didn't have any coming from where I come from. That's why I had time to make myself a cup of tea. Fantastic. So first off in the hybrid family, I'm going to use some Beach Day, and I'm going to show some really nice texturizing effects that we would get through using Beach Day. Now, you can use this as a great prepping tool, and I've already had some put in on this hair that's damp, and then just rough dried this through. So it already has now a texture added to it. But I've brushed it and now I've combed it through just to make sure my application is better for when I'm going to put the iron on there. But I would still come back into this and dust it with a little bit more Beach Day to increase that hold. You see just a little bit of misting. And I'm going to let that air dry. You could use a hairdryer on this. I'll just let this air dry just to show you how quick that works through the hair. Now this obviously does have a natural sodium chloride sulfate in there because it replicates what our hair does from going in the sea. So our Beach Day is in there, beautiful texture. I'm going to use our curling wand, large barrel, just to wrap it in. Well, of course, it turned itself off, so bear with me. Any questions that anyone has about hybrids and using them, please feel free to message us this morning. Say hello, tell me where you are, where you're tuning in from. Even if it's not about hybrids, you've got any questions relating to the product line from any other thing that you're using, be more than happy to answer any of those questions. One thing is for certain, well, where's this year gone? It's flown by. All these lives have certainly attested to that. And it's heated up really nice and quickly. So just a nice simple wrap. Nothing complicated about this one. By wrap I mean the actual hair is just wrapped flat wound around the iron. It's not twisted. So we can do a twist and flat wrap next to it so you can see the differences in the curl retention, etc. But it also matters, what size section you're using. There you go, that's got an amazing curl retention. If I get the hair out of the way from here. Can you see that well, Mike?
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. Just on there, I think that's great. And let's do a wrap and twist next to it. And by the wrap and twist I mean, so you can see the flat wrap comes over the top and we twist the hair after that. Flat wrap comes over the top and we twist the hair after that. Imagine you had a watch face on, you're always starting with wrist to watch face, wrist to watch face. You can twist the barrel of the iron up horizontally to give you even more lock in your root base, and of course that is then flipping the root upwards away from the head, so that'll give you more root lift. So it's great on finer hair for doing this. Give you a little bit more kick. So there is always method in our madness. If your hair's too thick, reverse it and wind it in towards the head to flatten out the root base if you still want that curl. So as you can see through here, by using the twist and the flat wrap together, the curl has jumped up considerably. I'll just show you my coat, my jacket behind that. It'll be a bit easier, won't it? There you go. Look, I stand right there. Look at the retention we have there from like just two different curling techniques. So same amount of product, still beach day, but purely because I'm using a twist and a wrap, you can see how much it's sprung up. So there's something to sort of like bear in mind when you're winding hair, because all the hair types, they always respond differently to be it the product or the appliance you're putting in. I always say, do it around the back of the head, see what it's going to do. Very important when you're doing bridal hair and you want hair to stay in. It could just be the difference between how you wind it up and the amount of product you're using for your curl retention to last throughout the course of a day. I'm going to do a couple more of that because I really enjoyed those. I hope they don't mind. Anyone signing in? Got any hellos?
On here. Anybody with any questions, feel free to ask.
Even a hello would be nice, just to know where we're talking to. Just let us know where you are.
That's right. All hybrids, all day here.
Hybrids and a little bit else. Absolutely. So what you're looking for, texture-wise, when I've used the beach day, is you're not going to it's not going to be like a cardboardy type feel. It's not like a salt spray. It's still got some manageability to it, but really, really good. You can use it as a setting lotion. You could braid that, no problem whatsoever, with the spray in on damp hair, leave it to dry out, and you were going to have a beautiful, really, really nice textured wave. But
somebody who just signed on was curious what you're using. He's using Beach Day at the
yeah,
moment.
I'm going to come back in. So if you're just joining, and voila, Beach Day, defined as a hybrid by the electric blue, sky blue lettering, not sky blue, just 7 seconds. So yeah, I'll call it electric blue. It's slightly darker than the 7 seconds. So we've prepped it already, just for time's sake, on damp hair on this side. Put some Beach Day through, blasted it on with a hairdryer, and I come in and I just mist just a small amount, and that's going to act as my setting lotion. I can use the option of hairdryer, but I'm going to air dry this. Once again, I'll just comb that through again. So don't worry about the wetness of this, it's all part of the product. It will air dry off really, really quickly, heat of your hands, etc. But it's really adding to that curl. And let's just try something slightly different by the side of it. Wind it away from the face. So much more of an editorial vibe. I'm going to come through, just loop it around the hair back and forth.
Same person said, okay, never used that one. New to Beach Day.
Okay, well, it's a must-have in your kit, especially if you're using Unite. So I'm going to reverse the wave. So I've gone backwards away from the face, going towards the face, keeping that hair flat around the iron.
Why don't you tell us your name and where you're tuning in from as well.
Yeah. And then back the other way again. So this is our deconstructed wave that we used in New York just a few weeks ago, and you get a really, really nice, more of a, what I call a natural kink happening in the hair. So we've come away, we've come back. So as opposed to just winding it around in one position, we've taken it away, we've taken it back, we've taken it away.
Claudia from Houston.
Hi Claudia from Houston. Nice to have you on here. How's Texas doing? So consequently, when you take that out,
she's used Unite for 9 years.
You're not familiar with Beach Day, smack yourself on the wrist, get yourself in, some in, and then we just hit it with a little bit of dusting after that. Then I can either play with it, I can scrunch it in, I can use my fingers, do the old classic, take it in between your two forefinger and your middle finger and just ease that back in. You've got deconstructed, dishevelled wave. Let's have a look at those other two. Great curl retention on here. So I'm going to come in to dress this out. I'm going to use Smooth and Shine. I'm going to use this a couple of times today just to show the differences of this. This being a brand new one. So we always remove the silver foil. One of my favourite products, this was, when it first came out, very misunderstood. So as you can see, application-wise, I'm using a tiny bit here, purely for the sake of just those sections, but a real small amount. This has argan oil in there, so ease of application is very, very easy. Dissipates really extremely well in your hands. I'm just going to rub that through our
I'm
pre-done.
curious with Beach Day. Does it work like texturizer?
It's you can say it lives in that family of texture, but it's got a different feel to it as well. Texturizer is much more, let's say, like user-friendly, but it's much more brushable. Very simple to use, but it's more of a finishing product. Whereas because this is hybrid, use it in wet and dry. You have a greater amount of play with it, and it has a different reaction when you're using irons. So once again, it's always about, you know, bespoke, working it on different hair types for that effect you want. But by all means, try it. I mean, this is great to show through here, just from 2 different ironing techniques. The curl we've got out of that, so much greater than just being wrapped around the hair. We have this S-bend, and where we have the flat wrap and the twist, we have some real deep waves going on through that, as you can see through here. I always called that winding technique, to me, is like classic Hollywood waves. Always very, very effective, and it's just nice to see it being used maybe slightly differently. Use it with a brush. That's where the old smooth and shine comes in. As you can see, it just binds it back together, so we get really, really nice piecey effect. So I can separate it with the brush or a comb, pop it out, but using a little bit more of smooth and shine, once again, just as a little dressing agent. Popping that through, we can come back in, we can do piecing with it with our fingers, and there you go. Let's separate that larger one up into some more defined areas. So just having a small amount on your hands, and here we have really nice pieciness. We'll drag that through that piece we've got in the front as well. So a little goes a long way for smooth and shine. Now smooth and shine, using that on wet hair, is a great blow drying aid. So I've got deliberately some what I call compromised hair, more so this side through here. And I'm going to do a little bit of brushwork on this. So you're going to have to excuse me while I use the hairdryer for a second, but vitally important that you see it.
So Claudia's saying she's used nearly all the products except that particular spray. Should she recommend using beach spray on dry hair? So this is the hybrids, right? Yeah,
absolutely. It's built for, made for wet and dry hair. You're going to find it really, really good when you're doing some iron work on certain hair types.
And it's appropriate for all hair types, right? Not just curly
correct.
hair, not just...
No, just any of them. It's just all about that particular texture. I always talk about this in every video I ever do, any lives. What is the fabric of hair you're trying to create? And by understanding that, you'll know, okay, this is the product that will suit that hair type. Hair that's got a natural coarseness to it, it's got a natural hold, a lot of natural volume, probably not the one you want to use. You might want to use something like this, a bit of smooth and shine. So you can see through here, it instantly starts calming the hair down just by using it on a hand application without even blow drying it in. So let's put a little bit of brush work through it. Right, so what I wanted to show from there was that because I'd made the hair compromised, I'd filled it up with texture and spray, etc., and showed maybe what coloured hair is like when it's had a lot of, like, you know, too much, it's compromised. You put Smooth and Shine in it, and it works especially well on pre-lightened hair that's got a huge amount of stretch to it. Instantly calms it down and creates different effects. And I've got a blonde here, so I'm going to use it on my blonde. We're going to bring in Beryl the blonde, who's got a nice little root drag going on. Anyone who's interested, I've just done this with our root touch-up sprays a week ago, and did it on a blonde. I've got this really lovely ashy tone, pearlized mix going through with it. So yeah, so I've left the hair a little bit dishevelled there on the ends. A little bit of Smooth and Shine I'm going to put on. I'm going to get the flat iron out. So less is more with this. If I'm doing it to blow dry on wet hair, I'm only going to use, on an average head of hair, probably the size of a dime to initiate it and put it in. And if it's really thick, porous, I'm going to put a bit more in. So I always say to people, when you're using this hybrid product on wet hair, especially hair that's been bleached, etc., you normally have a tug on the brush. Really sort of like the porosity of the hair dictates that you have to really pull it. Once you put this in, slides through the hair, makes all your work really easily, but won't destroy the volume. But here's the only caveat with it. Application wise, you can see it from here. I'm only doing it on mid-lengths and ends. So you really have to remember that. Smooth and Shine is ideal mid-length to ends. Hair type, all hair types, really great on excessively curly, textured hair. It's a beautiful smoothing agent. It says it in the name, Smooth and Shine. But here's the work. So it's only like less is more. Put it in, bit of heat activation, perfect. Goes in wet or dry. Mike's going to bring it round, and I'm just going to blow dry this piece. Brush just rides through it. We used a lot of spray on that to create the tackiness of it. And let's put an iron through there just to see what we end up with. Smooth and Shine for me is extremely underrated. People don't use it enough. Anyone who comes with us to Fashion Week will see us using it in many different guises. And I can go off, tack a little bit, and show the hairdressers here how we use this, you know, slightly differently for all the different hair types. But beautiful over the top with an iron. It just takes all that compromised hair, seals it back in, and we should see some manageability coming out of it. Seals all the ends in. I've only got that on a low heat if anyone's interested, just like maybe you would do on pre-lightened hair. And then the brush just rides through it beautifully and simply, like you can see comparison wise what we've got through here, we went for a textured look just on there. It's just simple. You see the shine retention you've now got through this bit, so that's going over the top of some of our root touch up and then working on through that. So just out of interest, that's a bit of Smooth and Shine. As I said, my #1 performing product for textured hair, compromised hair that is really difficult. It needs something in there, needs some manageability. So, but if I'm going to use that in conjunction with, I'm just going to show you something through here, and it'll work great on the blonde. So I'm going to use a little bit more than we would do per se normally. Then I'm going to throw it all on that root base through here, huge amount. Mike, would you go and give me some session, Max, if you don't mind? So, beautiful on ponytails. If you're doing a little grab pony, etc. So where this is really going to come into its own. If she stays still. Right, we're just going to grab some Session Max to work over the top of it. Just grab a clip. Okay, we come in with some Session Max over the top of this. So this is once again Smooth and Shine. So I'm using the hairspray very, very closely to it.
Does Smooth and Shine have heat protection?
Absolutely. Yeah, virtually all 100% of our products all do heat protection. As hairdressers, we know that's how we're using them. So yeah, absolutely, heat protection. So not something traditionally we would say that we would use, how we would use a hairspray over the top of Smooth and Shine, but just to create beautiful smooth finish that doesn't crack. That is now just going to hold. It's dry at a touch. Just looks solid. Can you imagine that all clipped back into a ponytail, etc. Red carpet events. We're obviously coming up to that season where people are thinking about going out, dressing up a little bit more. It's just another good one if you're using it on coarse hair. That's the versatility of Smooth and Shine. So wet application, mid-length to ends is how I recommend it. Hair type, hair that is heavily compromised, or hair that is extremely coarse, and obviously you want to smooth it out. But when you're using it on a dry application, as you've seen us use for when we've used it on the curls, etc., very, very small amount. Just rake it through with a wide tooth comb or with your fingers. Gives you a bit of separation, binds the hair together. Really, really nice finish. And you can see through here, it's taken away all that fluffiness that we had beforehand. The hair stays bound together. So, I mean, it's very, very popular. Straight hair, polished hair we're seeing this really coming forward as a trend at the moment. We saw enough of it at Fashion Week anyway, as we've spoken before on our trend report. So, yes, it's something to look out for and to talk about to your clients. She did want to leave the position then. So let's go into maybe a little bit of shorter hair and bring in one of my favourites to use as far as the hybrids are concerned. I've got a couple actually. But first off, I'm going to use some Conundrum. Now, Conundrum is one of our styling creams. How much do we use? Well, for an average head of hair, I'm still only going to pop out a small amount, but I'll scrape some out with the back of my nail. Take it out. Obviously, it can be used on wet or dry hair. And I recommend you have a look on our website, unitedhair.com, for our product knowledge videos. And I've got 2 different types of finish on there with this in. I'm creating some finger waves with it. Then I'll create some separation on a bob. And I think that's really where the product comes into its own. So what does this do? It just creates really, really great separation. So you could say it acts as a waxy paste. It adds moisture to the hair as well. You've got some sort of like heat protection. If I'm using it on wet, I'm going to create something very sleek with it. If I'm using it on dry, as I am on here, I'm going to put texture into the hair. And you can see through this, mannequin hair is notorious for not wanting to separate too much, especially on blonde. But just what we call shoe shining that in. So I've got the product is in the palm of my hand and I shoe shine the product in and then drag it through with the fingers because I didn't put it on my fingertips, shoe shine it in. So shoe shining is palms of the hand. That's how we do it. Number 1 tip for when you want to apply it to men's hair, very, very important. They really don't know how to put product in, guys, and most of the time they put it in their fingertips and they do this in the bathroom with their fingertips to apply product. No, to get it in the hair adequately, especially on shorter hair, work from the bottom, shoe shine. Okay, shoe shine it in, and that way you get great separation, great feel to it, and the pieciness is then going to last all day long. But there's a little glossing agent through here as well. So, little what I call Billy bonus for you. Very, very good.
Claudia loves it on her male clients.
There you go. Thank you, Claudia. Adding some kudos to our user. But it's called Conundrum purely because it is a conundrum how you use it. We use it in multiple different ways when we're working in Fashion Week. So One thing I'm going to use, I'm going to bring the long hair back. One of my favourite uses for it, and I think it's something that we don't use enough, especially the younger hairdressers in our industry. They don't appreciate how much maybe I would use of this. So let's give her a little knock so it keeps her head on. So for this, back of the hand, here we go. You're all going to guess what I'm going to do anyway. Let's take a strand of hair very, very quickly. From here. Now the amount I'm going to use becomes quite important, and the application of it. Quite a large amount on my fingertips. Come into the root base and really work that through roots to ends, but keeping a nice amount on my fingertips. So it does feel, you know, slightly waxy, etc., but it increases the separation of the hair. And then what that gives us, as we are braiding it, obviously, is not only greater control. So as I'm working through this, my fingers, I'm running the product down the hair. It's giving me great tension in the hair, and the longevity to the finish of it is ideal. So I'll just keep working that. I go back when I feel like I haven't got enough, fingertips, work it through both sides, working down the shaft of the hair, and then we just finish that off rather quickly because we want to make sure we're getting value for money out of our Instagram Live. But I just want to show you, we'll do it on a close-up. When I've got this, I don't have to do all of it. Mike, how much can you zoom in on there, Mike?
Quite a bit.
Yeah. So what it does, you're just eradicating all those little hairs that would fly out, but it really accentuates itself as a braiding tool. As I said, you know, keeping some on the back of your hand, fingertips. And sometimes, you know, you can't use too much of this. It really does accentuate those little mini braids. So we can see through here, pull that off there. Your detail is really, really precise. Just a great tool for using on braids. Get really down to the root base really nicely as well. I think that's the great thing. It separates the hair really tightly at the root base. Look at that, it just holds it there. Fantastic.
It's Steph Style ZU is her Instagram name. She says, I love Conundrum for flyaways and new growth after a fresh blowout.
Yeah, absolutely, because it just has that waxiness to it, a little bit of beeswax, so it's great. So another thing on natural textured hair, you'll see me use it at Fashion Week. Anyone who's got that coil, I might use a combination of this or the other products we have as well. That combination, I'll do it on here, although it's the wrong hair type. Bit of argan oil, the U oil, comes out. I will put some of that. I'll put some of that with Conundrum. Take a section of hair, and of course, what we do with that? I'll use a wide tooth comb. It comes into the root base, and then I would twist that hair with a combination of Conundrum and the oil, depending on the type of hair it is. The amount of hair and the texture will then depend on how much I'm going to use. That will bind it together, and I will get really, really great coil results out of that. So that's my number one, especially when I'm doing, say, like really short natural textured hair. I'm using the sponges. I found Conundrum, just a small amount of Conundrum and the oil is great for that. It gives a really, really great separation, keeps the hair looking in great condition as well. Really important, because that type of hair needs moisture, moisture, moisture. It's not about products with too much hold in it. Anything with alcohol, forget it. It's going to be too brittle. You want to make sure the hair is nicely moisturised. So there's my conundrum tips.
Got an awesome combo, 3 exclamation points.
Oh, thanks. Anyone got any other questions? Please feel free to chime in. So then we're going to go back because we just poured it out, our Unite U oil. So beautifully concentrated argan oil, but the number one thing with this is the dissipation of it. By that I mean how it absorbs really, really quickly. It doesn't feel like super oily, how it rides through and just becomes a polishing agent. Beautiful, like through something like this, it's already been applied to the hair, blow dried in. As you can see, this is a mannequin. We know what this mannequin hair is like. It's extremely hard to get beautiful finishes on this, but as you can see through this, it's fantastic. So it's already been blow dried in. So now I can just reapply just a small amount, come back in with maybe a flat iron, and just go over the top of it. Turn off my curling iron. Any questions so far, Mike?
Nothing new.
Nothing new.
Anybody wants to ask any questions to Gary, feel free to chime in.
So it's just applied over the top, and then it was just a couple of really quick passes with the iron. You're not frying the hair whatsoever. By the time I've actually applied it through with the hand, sort of like that's giving it enough time for it to sort of like absorb into the hair. So I'm not going to go straight in, clamp the iron down. It's just a nice, smooth, quick motion with the iron down at a reasonable heat. Bevel that in. Imagine you're doing that on a bob, etc. And it just sits in beautifully. And that's just using a little bit of U oil as my polishing agent.
Here's a question I know you're going to love, Gary, from Sheer Madman 92. Are you going to do another East Coast Runway Ready workshop before February 2022 Fashion Week?
Answer that question very simply. Sheer Madman. We are doing one in San Diego, and then we're doing one in New York, literally on the very beginning of Fashion Week. So yes, we're East Coast, but it's going to be in New York at the New York Makeup Academy. It is now live, I believe, on our page here, Unite Hair TV. You can see the flyer for it. Any other information, you can directly contact us, Unite Hair TV. You can directly contact me if you need any more information. But yes, places are available for New York and for Paris, depending on which one you want to go to.
A few more promotional materials will be coming out with more info.
Yeah, just keep watching us, watch this page. It's all on there, but if you need any more information, as I said, direct messages, come through to us and we'll answer them all. We've got it. We're here and we're ready to go. We're taking bookings for it. So hopefully we're going to see you there. Are we going to see you in New York? It'd be great if we do. So argan oil through there. What we say, we've got that really nice little kick now through the hair. Finish it off, brushable. It's got sweep to it. Beautiful finish.
Got another question. How would you style curtain bangs with a straightener?
Okay, let's dig out a curtain bang. I'm going to use a hybrid product on it because it's all about hybrids. Very simple. I've got it pre-done already, but I've got a shorter curtain bangs. I like to call them sweeping fringes, but I'm old. There we go. This is my modern shag haircut that I've done a little while ago, but it's got that Chrissy Hind look to it through here. So the most important part is understanding your curtain bangs. They've got a sweep going on. So we're going to go technical back into this, slightly off track, but they've got to have that promotion where either coming from the middle or to the side. They've got to sweep away from the face. And what does that mean? There's got to be a shorter part at some point. And the apex of that wave is that short hair then supports the longer and then pushes it away, just like you have through here. So it's going to frame the face. Without that, you can try and style this all day long. It's not going to happen. If you've got any sort of like straight line in there, forget it. So we've got shorter to long. Doing that with an iron, a couple of ways of doing that. Let's just say I'm going to come in. I've got my U oil, small amount. Let's let's just dress that on the hair. So through the palms, mid-length to ends. We'll do a couple of different ways of doing it. So it's self-explanatory with a curling wand, I feel. Depending though, if you're right-handed and you like to use the wand, you are going to struggle, even though it looks different on camera, wrapping that through here. So you're going to have to come over the top and just bend it through like so and just wrap it away. Using the mitt that we supply with this, very advisable. But much easier, I think, with a flat iron. All you have to do is just be conscious of obviously the size you're using and the fringe you're working on. And then ask yourself, what is the effect you want? Do you want it to have that little 70s kick out for you? So I'll come over the other side so you can see. Working that down.
A lot of excitement for New York Fashion Week 2022.
Oh, really?
Yeah, good. James V does hair. Very excited for New York.
James, how are we up there in the Bay Area? Are you coming back? I'd like to think so. So through this one, I'm giving it a very, very subtle kick on the ends. Okay, so I'm just twisting the wrist at the ends. And it's these little tiny subtleties, as I say, we work on at Fashion Week, that maybe they get lost on people. So that is really creating this nice little line for me through here.
James says, of course.
Excellent. Great to see you back there. Are you bringing your, have you been in communication with your partner from Fashion Week as well? Is she coming along as well? Not your literal partner, but your partner you worked with. I can't remember her name. She's going to kill me. But she was very excited. She was talking about coming back because it's always great to see those who return. It just shows you how much it's meant to them and how much enjoyment they got out of it. So coming back from the other side, we're going to do a little bit more of a kick. I'm coming down to mid-shaft and I just turn that up. Voila. Let that sit and cool. Very important you let it sit and let it cool for a little bit. Don't go near it. I want to relax it a little bit more. We're going to come back. We're going to flip over to the other hybrid. We're going to come back in and get a little bit of smooth and shine maybe. Well, James got the option. He can come down here to the class in San Diego or he can meet us in New York. I don't know which one he's going to choose. But
Mari or Mary, Mena is saying, love it. He makes it look so easy.
When you get to this age and you've been doing hair for 320 years, hopefully it becomes reasonably easy. So we've got one with a little bit more of a kick. And what we do with that, we always do the classic hairdresser move, pull some separation with it. My personal one though is, I love it when it just has this gentle movement on there. You just pull that across. But once again, to me, it goes back to the technicality of it. It's your haircut. It makes it easy. It really makes it easy to do because short hair supports long, short hair will push long. So having that done in that particular fashion will push that hair out through here. And as we said, we gave her the modern shag where you've got it looking more like one length in the front, no forward graduation if anyone's interested. So it just blends in, comes across from the eye, cuts across cheekbone, just has that really cool little vibe about it. Lovely little haircut. Catch it online, Unite Hair TV. So that's that sweeping fringe, curtain bangs. Do you like to give them their modern an acronym? Yes, I've been reading the thesaurus again. And then I wanted to introduce another little product for us, how they're working side by side with our hybrids. So let's go back to our longer hair. So I've got one more to pull out the bag. Run this through. It's one of my favourites. Just rake this through from that wave we did earlier. Okay, hair's just sitting down reasonably naturally. Liquid volume, how do we use liquid volume? very misunderstood product. So longer hair, I'm going to talk about longer hair initially. The amount we use, it is dusting. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 little dusts, nothing like, not standing there pumping away. Air dry, let it air dry on the hair. Once you've air dried it, you can come in and then you can shake the hair, separate it, lift it. You can do the classic hairdressing scrunch move in there, and you can build it into the style. It gives you instantaneous lift and volume and memory. That's the application for longer hair, no more than that. Can you use it with an iron? Yes, but use it very, very sparingly. Shorter hair, slightly different. Because it's a hybrid, how am I going to use it on shorter hair? It really is going to go on what I recommend, you know, quite short for like men with pompadours, etc., and things like that. Hair that's not got too much length in there, but hair of about that sort of length, etc. So I'm literally going to put in, you know, 2 little dusts over that and then blow dry it. And then you get instantaneous volume and root support through here. So just a small amount, and then that becomes really workable. And then that allows me then to come in with a little bit more dust, apply over the top, and just pull out more volume. But it really is a small amount. Now I've got one other use for it that was done purely by what I call a happy accident. And I'm going to go back to the longer hair for here deliberately. Just out of interest, and you can use this in conjunction with our U-Dry range, and I'm going to bring those out in a minute. So, excessively oily hair, you've put in maybe too much argan oil or Smooth and Shine in the root base when you've done your blow dry. How do you rescue that if you don't have time to, if you haven't got other products on hand? Well, this is where liquid volume comes in really, really handy. Small amount of this, and I mean a very small amount. Okay, dusting of it, just 2 little squirts I put in there. Then I come back in, hair dryer and cold air, it must be cold air. Nothing too crazy, I'll just come back in and just do a reapplication of that. And what that will do is that it flattens out the shine on the hair and just creates a little bit of volume. And that really is a case if you don't have the U-Dry High. U-Dry High being our volumizing dry shampoo that is great for putting volume in the hair that needs it. Excessively oily, U-Dry Plus. But liquid volume can be used in conjunction with them, either as the prep for it or the after one. And you can come in and apply it, root base, and then blast that through with the cold air on the hairdryer. Fantastic results. One other product I'm going to use in conjunction with our hybrids that I think we should all be embracing is our U-Dry Fresh. So our hair that's had the liquid volume on, let's put some of this in. And look at the amount I'm using as well. Nice amount of U-Dry Fresh. Pull that hair back into the brush. Really calms it right down. Becomes like, you know, this has had beach day on it, a couple of applications. We've put a bit of liquid volume on there. Brush is riding through it. Once again, you've now got some satin sheen back in the hair. You've got some great waves appearing. Just a really, really great reapplication. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to use the one we started off with, a bit of beach day. Once again, it goes in, dusting. I'm going to let it air dry. I could come in and put a bit of diffuser on it, but we'll let that air dry. And I'm just going to reintroduce that back into the hair. Rake it through a little bit. We could do some twists. Get some separation on there. And then we've got our texture back, and we've got that beachy feeling, the vibe in the hair of, you know, it's a bit windswept. It's got some salt water, etc. gone through it, got some volume back in. So that's how I'm going to play around with them, refreshing them always with U-Dry Fresh. It's a really misunderstood product. I thoroughly recommend we all use that. You come to us at Fashion Week, we're all using it on all the hair types. And then the hair gets this lovely, look at that, you've got a sweeping fringe through here. I don't know if you can see that, but that's our longer sweeping fringe. As you say, the iron that we've done in there earlier, it's still in there, but looks great. Sweeping fringe, and all that was just a wrap with the barrel. And it's contemporary. It's what, you know, how girls are wearing their hair at the moment if they're not going to go for this really super sleek, smooth hairstyle. So that's our hybrid family. We've covered the Smooth and Shine, the U-Oil, the Beach Day, Liquid Volume, and Conundrum. Hope that's cleared up any points anyone's had. Please, any more questions, direct message me. I really don't mind. And our next live is Over and Under Direction, which is all about haircuts. And that's on Monday, December 6th, 10 a.m. Pacific time, of course. And that works out 1 o'clock Eastern time. And at this moment in time in history, that will be 6 o'clock in the UK, 7 o'clock in Europe. You can add future lives to your calendar. The live is recorded and it's posted on Unite TV and YouTube. And if you have any questions regarding this, regarding Fashion Week, remember Fashion Week is for roughly the first week of February, after the first weekend in February, with a 2-day class. We have a 2-day class here in San Diego. The email for that is unitetv@unitehair.com. Remember, I'll say that again, unitetv@unitehair.com for all things related to, be it our class, education on here, etc. And follow us on Instagram at unite_hair-tv. Unite_hair-tv. Thank you once again for listening to my gibberish on a Monday. Mike always for filming and his wonderful thumb. There it is. And hopefully I'll see you on December the 6th. And I've got to wish you all the Americans out there, wish you a happy Thanksgiving, whatever you may be doing. I'll probably just be drinking a cup of tea and wondering what all the fuss is all about. And I'll see you then. Thanks.